Donald Trump's rally in Detroit will be remembered as one of his most awkward and chaotic events yet. What began as another campaign stop spiraled into a comedy of errors as technical glitches, restless crowd behavior, and Trump's visible frustration created an atmosphere that was nothing short of disastrous. As the former president's microphone failed repeatedly, supporters began to lose interest, with some even walking out mid-speech. Trump's attempts to regain control of the situation only seemed to amplify the awkwardness, leaving him visibly angry as the rally descended into a series of unfortunate events. This rally, however, offers more than just viral moments of failure. It is a snapshot of Trump's current campaign struggles, highlighting his declining appeal, chaotic organization, and the increasing impatience of even his most loyal followers. As Trump attempts to galvanize support with barely 2 weeks remaining until the election, moments like these suggest a crumbling foundation within his own base. From microphone malfunctions to visibly empty seats, this Detroit rally shows a Trump who is increasingly out of touch, both with his message and with the reality surrounding him. With 18 days left until the presidential election, Trump's recent performances have raised more questions than answers. This rally, in particular, serves as a microcosm of his campaign's larger struggles. Technical blunders, an incoherent message, and a clear sense of frustration. In this video, we will break down the chaotic moments of Trump's Detroit rally, from his aggressive outbursts to the embarrassing technical failures, all while exploring the deeper implications for his campaign as the clock ticks toward November. A crowd unimpressed. The early signs of trouble. Trump's Detroit rally was set to be another grand spectacle, designed to energize his base and remind them of the stakes in the upcoming election. Held in downtown Detroit at a large venue, Trump's team had expected a packed house. Yet, from the outset, things seemed off. Attendees and reporters alike noticed that the venue was far from full. CNN correspondent name, reporting live from the event, pointed out that although the crowd behind her appeared engaged, the space behind the cameras told a different story. It was mostly empty. Behind the scenes, there were murmurs that the rally had been delayed for over 2 hours, but not for security reasons. According to Secret Service officials, there was no issue with safety. Instead, it seemed the Trump campaign was scrambling to rearrange the optics, trying to shift the layout to make the venue appear fuller than it actually was. This delay only added to the tension in the air, as restless supporters grew increasingly frustrated by the wait. The rally finally kicked off, but the slow start and visible gaps in the audience immediately set a tone of disappointment. This was not the electric atmosphere Trump had hoped to create, and it quickly became clear that the event would be an uphill battle from the start. The mic malfunctions. Trump's patience wears thin. As Trump took the stage, his energy seemed low, a far cry from the bombastic confidence that usually defined his rallies. He launched into his standard talking points, railing against immigration and attacking his political opponents, but early on, his microphone began to malfunction. His voice cut in and out, and as he continued speaking, the mic problems worsened. The technical failure quickly became a metaphor for the entire rally, a broken line of communication between Trump and his audience, one that he struggled to repair. The first mic failure came just minutes into his speech. Trump, realizing something was wrong, tapped the microphone and awkwardly leaned over, visibly frustrated. The crowd tried to rally behind him, with a few chanting "Fight, fight, fight" in support, but their enthusiasm quickly fizzled as Trump's microphone continued to fail. His once commanding voice was reduced to an embarrassing series of muffled sounds, and his usual charisma couldn't salvage the moment. Worse still, as the microphone issues persisted, some audience members began to lose patience. A group of women seated behind Trump could be seen checking their phones, visibly disinterested in what was supposed to be one of the more important rallies of his campaign. It was a stark contrast to the passionate crowds of Trump's earlier rallies, where supporters hung on his every word. This time, the technical difficulties seemed to sap the energy from the room, leaving Trump floundering. A rowdy crowd. Trump silences his own supporter. As if the microphone malfunctions weren't bad enough, Trump found himself battling with his own audience just moments later. During a lull in the speech, one particularly rowdy supporter began to shout, interrupting Trump. Clearly annoyed by the disruption, Trump tried to silence the individual in a way that was uncharacteristically sharp for him. "Sit down, please," Trump barked. "That's enough. That's enough." The moment felt awkward and uncomfortable. Trump, who typically thrives on audience interaction and often encourages a lively, boisterous atmosphere at his rallies, seemed visibly irritated that anyone would dare interrupt him. His words carried a tone of impatience, and the crowd's reaction was tepid at best. Rather than laughing off the interruption, the audience seemed unsure of how to respond, and the atmosphere grew even more tense. It was a rare glimpse of Trump's frustration with his own supporters, a moment that revealed the underlying strain he's experiencing as his campaign stumbles. The audience's muted response to his outburst only underscored the awkwardness of the situation. Trump's attempts to regain control of the room seemed to backfire, leaving him isolated on stage, struggling to maintain the crowd's attention. The walkout, a mass exodus. Perhaps the most damning moment of the rally came when members of the audience began to leave, right in the middle of Trump's speech. As he railed against immigration policies, a group of attendees seated behind him could be seen grabbing their jackets and bags, slinging them over their shoulders, and walking out of the venue. The sight of supporters abandoning him mid-speech was a crushing blow, one that Trump couldn't ignore. These walkouts weren't just a trickle of people heading for the exits. They were a clear and visible exodus, captured on camera for all to see. As Trump continued to speak, it became impossible to ignore the fact that people were losing interest. The audience wasn't captivated by his message. They were bored, frustrated, and ready to leave. The sight of people walking out while Trump tried to deliver a key part of his speech was nothing short of humiliating. The walkouts weren't limited to just a few disgruntled attendees. As the rally wore on, more and more people could be seen making their way to the exits. The emptying venue was a stark contrast to the packed, energetic rallies that had defined Trump's earlier campaign efforts. Now, with only days left until the election, it seemed as though even his most loyal supporters were beginning to lose faith. Trump's angry response, "I won't pay the bill." As the technical issues continued to plague the event, Trump's frustration boiled over. After another round of microphone malfunctions, Trump snapped. In a rare moment of candor, he lashed out at the event organizers, vowing not to pay the company responsible for the sound system. "Thank you," Trump said sarcastically after the microphone finally started working again. "So now what happens is I won't pay the bill for the stupid company that rented us this crap. I won't pay the bill." His outburst was met with a mixture of nervous laughter and silence from the crowd. What was intended as a joke came off as bitter and petulant. Trump's history of stiffing contractors is well documented, and his casual admission that he would refuse to pay for the equipment malfunction only served to reinforce the image of a man who shirks responsibility when things don't go his way. The moment encapsulated the entire rally. A frustrated Trump, visibly angry and unable to control the chaos around him, lashing out in a desperate attempt to regain some semblance of authority. But instead of commanding respect, his outburst only highlighted his own insecurity and frustration. The crowd, sensing this, remained largely silent, unsure of how to respond. The deeper implications, what this rally means for Trump's campaign. The chaos of Trump's Detroit rally is more than just a one-off embarrassment. It is a symbol of the larger issues plaguing his campaign. With 18 days left until the election, Trump's rallies are supposed to energize his base and build momentum. Instead, they are becoming showcases of his declining appeal, his disorganized team, and the growing impatience of even his most loyal followers. In the past, Trump's rallies were known for their energy and excitement. Supporters would wait for hours, sometimes days, to hear him speak. But now, with dwindling crowds, technical failures, and walkouts, it's clear that the magic is fading. The enthusiasm that once defined Trump's campaign is being replaced by frustration and disillusionment. Moreover, Trump's inability to handle even minor disruptions, whether it's a malfunctioning microphone or a rowdy supporter, speaks to a larger issue. The former president is increasingly out of touch, both with his message and with the reality of his situation. His anger and frustration are palpable, and his attempts to project strength only serve to highlight his vulnerabilities. As Trump's campaign continues to stumble, moments like this rally in Detroit raise serious questions about his ability to maintain the support he needs to win in November. Can he rally his base in time, or are these moments of chaos a sign of a campaign in free fall? Trump's Detroit rally was a microcosm of the struggles his campaign is currently facing. From technical failures to visible walkouts, the event highlighted the cracks in Trump's once unshakable support base. His outbursts, both at his own supporters and the event organizers, only served to underscore the frustration and disorganization that have come to define his campaign in recent weeks. With less than 3 weeks to go before the election, Trump's chaotic performance in Detroit raises serious doubts about his ability to turn things around in time. The empty seats, broken microphone, and visible walkouts were more than just embarrassing. They were a stark reminder that Trump's campaign is in deep trouble.